All right.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for coming to Launch Minnesota's very first Friday Forum of 2023. We are now on our third year of doing these. We host Friday Forums on the fourth Friday of every month, always highlighting a different topic for something in the startup community here. And today we are very excited to be talking about accelerators. What are they? How do you prepare for them? How do you make the most out of the experience if you get in? Being in an accelerator incubator can change everything for a startup, but how do you know which one is right for you? And this is a great time to be having this conversation because maybe you're considering participating in an accelerator in 2023, and there are several groups right now that are currently accepting applications. So we are very excited to be joined by Lunar Startups, Techstars, and Beta this morning, and they are going to be sharing their knowledge with us. So let's start out. Panelists, could you introduce yourself and say a little bit about your organization?
I'll go. My name is Tiara Anderson, and I'm the program manager at Lunar Startups. We are a 6-month accelerator program, and we work with tech, CPG, and healthcare companies. We also work with founders who are women, Black, LGBTQ+, Indigenous, and non-binary. We offer one-on-one coaching, weekly workshops, free legal services, access to our expert network, and a Hive Squad for life. Our program really focuses on the community aspect, since being an entrepreneur can be so lonely. Our applications are open right now. They actually close on the 31st, which is Tuesday. So if you're interested, I'd keep your ears open. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Tia. Maybe you could drop a link to the applications and some information in the chat.
Sure can.
Yeah, thanks. Sarah, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm going to give you all the disclaimer I gave Neela and Maddie when I first joined. I am losing my voice, so bear with me here. Of course, today is the day that I start to lose it. But with that being said, I'm Sarah Bain. I am the venture principal with Techstars here locally in Minnesota. I run the Farm to Fork program that we have, and then the program that we have in partnership with the Minnesota Twins. Techstars is a worldwide organization. We have over 3,000 portfolio companies, making us one of the largest pre-seed seed stage investors in the world. We also have about 23 billion in total funding and a market cap of about 96 billion. So we're pretty massive. We have reach all around the world. And we're a 3-month accelerator driven mainly by mentorship. So I see Charlie was on here. Charlie's a mentor for us and has been a part of the program, which is fantastic. But we also are very lucky to have some alumni and companies from both Lunar and Beta in our programs, which is fantastic.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Sihan?
Hello, this is Gian Belivan. I'm the entrepreneur in residence for Beta. And Beta is a local, I call it founders community. And also we have an accelerator program. It's average 4 months. We do it twice a year, and we accept around 30 companies. And we are very connected to Minneapolis locally. So we, elevate and we connect our founders. And then are also our main existence, I call it founders first. And so we are, if you are local, if you're in Minnesota company, Beta is a great place to, accelerate yourself and your company. So I'm looking forward. And also our applications for our spring cohort is open. So you can go to beta.mn website and apply from there. So thank you very much for being here.
Great, thank you. So you guys touched on this a little bit, but let's talk about who would be a good fit for your specific program, industries, state, etc. How do you know if I'm a startup, how do I know if I should participate in your program specifically?
So for Lunar, like I said earlier, we mainly work with tech, CPG, and healthcare companies. With CPG companies, we would love for you to at least have a product, have sold it to friends and family, or kind of have a little bit of traction, at least just a little bit. You don't have to, have any revenue or anything. But and then with our tech companies, you can be a bit earlier since the barriers are heavier with trying to, like launch a whole app. So as long as you have, an idea and you're working towards getting it, like getting the developers for it and working towards the app, then that's okay. Because the last cohorts, we took tech companies a little bit later and we realized that there were some heavy barriers there. Also with Lunar, we really want to work with companies who are looking to scale. So if you are just selling to your friends and family or at a farmer's market, and you just want to just kind of get organized at the farmer's market, then we're probably not the best fit. But if you want to get on Target shelves or go global or international, then, or like take on Tabasco, then like we're the accelerator for you. Also, yeah, and then also being Black, women, LGBTQ plus, non-binary is like our main, that's a good fit for our program.
Okay, cool.
I could go. For our programs, our sweet spot is pre-seed and seed. With that being said, pre-seed and seed can vary drastically, depending upon who's defining it. But with that being said, we look at companies that have at least an MVP or a product currently in the market. You don't have to have revenue, but we want to see usage, and we want to see some growth within the companies. Most of the companies coming into the program usually go on to raise about 1.5 to 2 post program. So most of the companies coming through have raised some bit of venture prior to and have at least an MVP.
Okay, cool.
So at Beta, like we also look at the, there should be an MVP. So because we are not an incubator. So if you have an idea and it's on paper, it's definitely early for us. And, and we are, a tech accelerator. Most of our, like we love enterprise software and, anything relates to scalable technology is okay. But also as Beta, like every cohort, we like to give like 1 or 2 company a little bit out of our comfort zone to access. Like we sometimes accept companies, social entrepreneurs. I'm a big fan and of social entrepreneurship. So, but again, mainly to software and healthcare and technology related. You don't need to have a revenue. We just keen about like you have an MVP or you are very close to finalize your MVP, so you can give it to some end users so they can test it.
Okay, got it. Now, so what can a founder do to make their application stand out? I think that's something that a lot of people are probably considering as they think about applying to your programs.
For Lunar, we really want to see on your application your ambition to grow and to scale and to dream. Because just being able to show that on your application, like right now, like we're getting a lot of it's like it could be hard for some entrepreneurs, especially in our demographic, to even dream that big. But we want you on your application, just to your biggest dream, put it on your application. And then I would also say to whatever program you're applying to make sure that you either double check their website or reach out to someone who works at the organization to make sure that the accelerator program matches what you need at the stage that you're at. Like, for example, we don't really work with service companies, and we get kind of a lot of people that apply, well, not a lot, but a handful that apply who are service companies. And, some of them don't qualify, but some of them do qualify because they're a service company, but they do have a product that is attached to their service company. But sometimes on their application, they don't like explain that very well. So on our side, it looks like you're just a service company, and then we reach out to you and ask, and you're like, no, I actually do have a product and I'm trying to grow and expand and scale it. So I would just say to make sure, to just double check what the values are of the program.
Okay, good advice. I like that.
For us, I would say, we focus pretty heavily on the founders because we're so early. We're focusing in on the founders more so than the idea and the concept. And so if you can make your personality shine through in the application and let us get to know you and your team as much as you possibly can through an application or a video. I would strongly encourage that. We talk about the videos a lot amongst our team and really love it when people show their true personalities or have a little fun with it. So let us get to know you is probably the biggest thing.
Cool. And what about beta?
So, in beta, like in applications, technically, like Sarah said, there are two things, I look at. One is I look at the problem statement, like which problem you are solving, what type of a problem you are solving, because to me, the startups are iterations. And so your solution will iterate or your pivot. But the thing is, if your problem is powerful enough, you will find a product market fit. So the problem is critical for me. And then the second thing, I totally agree with Sarah. We are big at the founders because we are very early stage. So we get very, dive in with the founders. We like founders with growth mindset. I like founders who are humble, who are keen to iterate, who are keen to change and listen. And then one other thing is, two things. One other thing, do not come and say there's no competition and then your total addressable market value is $1 trillion, because those things like, tell us that, you didn't do your homework the right way, or you are still very early for going to the next stage.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Now, one thing that I think people start with, everybody starts with some sort of pitch deck, pitch idea, things like that when they enter the accelerator. So let's talk about that a little bit. In your opinion, what makes a good pitch or a pitch deck? What elements need to be present?
I think, getting all the information across with like the least amount of clutter as possible.
Right.
We ask for a pitch deck for the application. Not everybody has one with our application, so it's not required, but we really want you to at least give us something, even if it's just something that you do whip up, because we really do focus on pitches and pitch decks in our program. So if you just have something just to short and sweetly get across what your business is, and that we can look at and see that you've kind of started something with Lunar specifically, then like that's good. But in our first phase, we have like 3 phases of our application. So phase 1, there's no pitch deck that we ask for, but in phase 2, we do ask for it.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
For us, it's very similar. We want clear and concise. I want to know exactly what the pain point is that you're solving for. What are the true problems? Are you actually trying to create a problem? Because it's going to be much harder than that. But if your solution actually solves a real pain point, selling is going to be so much easier and your customer usage is going to be so much easier. So we want to know how you can explain that in a very clear and concise way. One thing that I'm always asking founders when I'm first meeting them and diving in a little deeper as well, but I want to know what their big vision is. I want to know what their evil plan is and how they're going to take over the world or take over the space with their product or their company. And so really thinking about how big are they thinking about this opportunity? Are they thinking big? Do they have the creative mind to blow this thing out of the water? And then also, what key milestones are you planning to hit? If you're raising money, how are you going to use that money and how are you going to hit all of your milestones?
Nice. I like that. Evil plan. That's not something that we have baked into our grant application process yet, but maybe next time around we'll throw that in.
Hey, you get to know somebody pretty well when you ask them what that is.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. And what about beta?
Well, I think that, both, so that from my perspective, pitch deck is like, especially if you're sending it to the investors and, I like them to be 7 to 10 page. If you want to create a, a longer version, I call them like business plan decks. And so, so the thing is that to me is technically a pitch is, it shows the clarity of the founder, and that goes the elevator pitch. And so that when people are pitching us, I really want to see how clear the concept is in the, founder's mind. Like if you tell me in 30 seconds, I can say that this founder is living with this idea and the problem and the solution for a long time. And so if you talk to me like 3 minutes and if you are still struggling, it shows me that, you don't have that clarity yet. You are still working on it. And so the pitch deck technically shows me how clear you are. And like I said, I love problem statements. I want always founders think about the problem, what problem they are solving. Like Sarah said, what is the pain point? Because most of the time we see people find a solution and then they try to find a problem to the solution, and then that problem comes with the product market fit, because you cannot scale and create traction because technically you have a solution, but you don't have a good problem or a big pain point to solve. And so the pitch deck technically tells me what is the problem, what is the solution, what is the market size, what is the team, and how you go there. And like Sarah said also, like this is always a problem with the early stage founders, like how much money do I need? Like, the question is, what is the milestone? Like, where are you going? And like if you need $1 million, where to bring? Because that $1 million needs to bring to the level that you can do the next level round raise, and by increasing the value of the company.
Okay, got it. Cool. So that's awesome. So now we've kind of covered maybe the pre-application process and some things that people should be keeping in mind. Let's say you get into the program, you're very excited. What can a founder expect once they enter the program? And is there anything about your program that you think surprises the people who participate?
I think things that surprise our cohorts are our 4 free hours per month for free legal services. We don't take equity from our companies. I think they're surprised about the community aspects. Even after the program's over, a lot of the cohorts still hang out, still catch up. Couple of, some of the founders are still friends with their coach, still connect, which is good, keeping their network like bigger than it was before our program. And then how much they can get done in 6 months, like they're usually surprised about, like where they are for the program and where they are after. And then what was the first question before that?
Oh, just what can, like let's say you get into the program, what are some things that they can expect?
So for Lunar, our workshops are weekly. We have every Thursday from 1 to 2:30, our workshop with topic pitch decks, financials, marketing. And then one Thursday a month, usually the first Thursday, we have founders meetings, which are just the founders and the Lunar team, kind of building that community aspect and, bouncing ideas off of each other or sharing your wins and your losses and getting on a level where you can feel comfortable doing that. And then you have one-on-one coaching every other week for a half hour with your coach. And we have a few events throughout the year as well. But we will start the program with a business assessment. So it'll be like a business assessment with different categories and your milestones that you need to hit throughout the program. If you don't finish them in the program, you'll also have them for after the program. They'll still be there for you to kind of check off and make sure you check off all your milestones. But that's kind of like the layout of what to expect if you make it into the program.
Okay, cool. And what about Techstars?
So our program is broken down into 3 different sections, I would say, and it's really kind of by month. So the first month is heavily focused on mentorship. We do a thing called Mentor Madness, and it is truly madness because each of the companies are meeting about 10 mentors every single day in a speed dating format. So they get 20 minutes with each mentor, and this is done for 3 weeks. And so they're meeting with anywhere from 80 to 100 mentors, and their brains are spinning and they're getting different feedback and they're getting different thoughts from people for an entire month. And then the second month of the program is heavily focused on the acceleration. So they're taking everything that they learned and they discussed and they worked on in that first month and applying it to the second month to really grow their business. And then the third month is heavily focused on storytelling. So some of the companies are looking to fundraise in program, and that's where we would really shift gears. However, not every company coming through wants to fundraise at the given time of program. But we firmly believe no matter what stage you're at, you have to be able to tell your story clearly and concisely for people to be interested and for people to learn about what it is that you're doing. And so we really focus in on that storytelling aspect within the third phase, while still meeting with mentors, while still accelerating the business, but taking all the elements of the program and building it into the storytelling phase. I think one of the things that founders are most surprised by is truly the access and the reach that they have within the Techstars network. I think one of the greatest things that Techstars has is our network. We're connected to almost everybody. It's insane. There's 3,000 portfolio companies, 11,000 investors in the network, and probably double that in terms of mentors. So the reach is really, really incredible. But then also for our particular programs, being corporate programs or having a corporate partner, the unprecedented access that the companies have within Ecolab and they have within the Minnesota Twins organization and Paulette companies is absolutely insane. They're meeting with the ownership group, senior executives, C-level executives, but also all the way down to subject matter experts within the organization and really having crazy insight into the company and their key initiatives and the way that they approach things.
Cool.
Okay, so for Beta, I think that, one thing that our founders constantly tell us is, we are relentless, elevating our founders, and especially we are a local organization. We have a Beta Bridge program that we connect them to, technically most of our sponsors, lots of Fortune 100 companies. And with Beta backers, we do lots of local, matches with the local investors, and also, even like you can be in our, accelerator program 2-3 years ago. If you need something, we come as the whole community and support and elevate you. And that's the another power of the Beta is like, we are very community driven, relationship driven organization. So especially if you're a local Minnesota based company, we can definitely, elevate you to places that, you cannot do it by yourself. And so, it's, we love doing this because, founders are our tribe, and it's beautiful.
Awesome. And so, yes, again, we've sort of touched on this a little bit, but I think, so often with any sort of program that you decide to participate in, you're going to get out of it what you put into it, but so how can a founder make the most of their accelerator experience, in your opinion?
I would say for us, try, another one of our values is we try not to schedule things during parent pickup, parent drop off time. We really only require our founders to be at the workshops and founders meetings on Thursday from 1 to 2:30. But we have the expert network that they can request to meet with over 100 experts around the Twin Cities. We have our Lunar Everywhere platform, which is an online platform resource library. So, and even the free legal services and their one-on-one coaching. It's like you kind of want to make sure you put the time in for all the services that the program provides. I feel like a lot of our alum kind of wish that they had cleared their calendar more. A lot of our founders, some of them have a full-time job and do their business and doing our program, and all of you entrepreneurs are very busy. So, sometimes they may be in the car driving from a different meeting and on our, workshop call, which is okay. But if you can clear your calendar for the programming and make sure you're there, and it's a lot of information that you get in the first, week or two of the program. So I would say after all this information is just thrown at you, like sit down after a week or two and just kind of go over everything that the program offers so that you make sure that you can get the most out of the program and use all the resources.
Cool.
Yeah, I would say it's very similar for us too. And I always say you're going to get out of this program what you put into it. So that is a perfect expression. I think the founders currently in the program are so sick of hearing me say that. But with that, it's really attending the workshops or any content that we provide for them. Like, watch it if you can, attend it live, watch the recordings, watch the videos, read the books or the blogs that we suggest, truly engaging with the mentors coming through and being proactive about building the relationships. A business deal or an investment or some collaboration of working on the business may not happen in the program. It could happen 2 years from now, but the founders have to put in the work now to build the relationship and continue to foster it over time. So the program is really the starting point for them, and they're going to have to put in the time and the energy with that. But we also encourage them to get to know the other cohort founders. Like, take the time to get to know them as people and get to know their businesses, because you don't know how they could potentially help you in the future. You could potentially help them. So really leaning into it and truly slowing their business down in the beginning of program to really speed up and accelerate. So trusting the process and knowing that they're going to really have to lean into the advice and the guidance that the people within the program and their mentors are providing them.
Nice.
So for beta, when I talk to founders, I tell them, like, first thing is, become very quickly part of the community and, start building relationships, and always ask, questions, always ask, what you need. And one of the last thing I always tell them, like, go and help others, and because it's in your power to do it. And the more you connect and help other founders, it's better, because at Beta, like, we do every 2 weeks, our bi-weekly check-ins. And the main concept there is, you tell us your problem and then how we can help you. And, as the whole cohort, we try to find a solution, or we bring, people that we know. But I think, relationships build companies. And so if you come to an accelerator program, and, you need to start building relationships, you need to start talking to your cohort members. And so don't, go to the corner and stay there. Like in Beta, I won't let you do that, but always go build relationships and help others and become part of the community. And then you will see that, how fast, all those relationships will build you as a, entrepreneur, and also accelerate your own startup.
Okay, got it. Great. Well, I have one last question for our panelists here before I turn it over for the Q&A. So everybody start thinking about what questions you have. I would love to know, do you guys have any specific examples, maybe of a founder success story that comes to mind? How did someone's business change when they participated in your program?
I think a good example would be Nosh Posh, Tatiana Freeman. We just had an info session panel yesterday, and she joined us, so that was great. She, before the program, I think she's like a vending machine, healthy vending machine snack company. Before the program, she was bootstrapping, just using her own finances, and then in the program got her first vending machine. And by the end, I mean, she has like an investor, or like she has funding, not bootstrapping anymore. She revamped, all of her marketing materials and kind of like her brand, and got on LinkedIn more. A lot of her events that she throws and grand openings, a lot of Lunar alumni come to those events and tell their friends, and they come. So I think the network and the community definitely helped her there. And I know she loved our program and felt like she really grew.
That's awesome. I've sampled some of her snacks. They are seriously good.
Yeah, she's great.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then Techstars, Sarah, what are some of the experiences that come to mind for you?
Yeah, I think, a lot of the focus and key areas that people do come to our program is for fundraising. And so a lot of our companies have had some great success in fundraising. Specifically, one local company that went through the retail program with us in 2017. Upsea, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Clarence, but they went through the retail program with us, went on to raise something like 18 million with True Ventures, which is a fantastic fund on the West Coast. Retail as well. Branch Messenger is also Branch now. They were Branch Messenger when they came through the program. They went on to raise a sizable amount. I don't even know if it's fully publicly disclosed, but it's quite significant. And then from farm to fork, Milk Movement is a company out of Canada, went on to raise about 26 million as well. So we've seen some great success in our companies, but our companies also, have been really lucky and have done the work to do some pilots with our corporate partners. In the program last year with the Minnesota Twins, we're in our second one this year currently, but in the first one, I think 7 out of the 10 companies were able to pilot with the Twins or the Pullout companies, and so to have 70% be able to pilot throughout program to in stadium is fantastic. So we've gotten some good traction with our companies.
That's awesome. Yes, and I believe there is a Techstars Twins demo day coming up in the next couple of weeks, right?
Thank you for that plug, Maddie. Yes.
Yeah.
So on February 15th, I can put the registration link or RSVP link in. We'll be having our demo day at the Fillmore. So it's open to the public. We'd love for all of you to come. It's a great time to see the companies pitch, to get to know the founders. There's a showcase, but also just enjoy the local ecosystem here, and the startup community it's kind of a celebration of that. So we'd love to have you there.
Yes, demo days are so much fun, and Techstars always does them really, really well. So if you're able, be sure to attend that event next month. And let's talk about some beta successes. I've seen some companies that have made a lot of huge, awesome changes to their business after participating in that program.
Yeah, I love this part of it because like Sarah mentioned, like we are proud of our technically this isn't like as beta, I always tell people, like, we are not in a competing environment. Because I'm a founder, and so I want founders constantly find resources. And so like most recently I was talking to Chris Yule, and he's the founder of the Kinetic. And before that beta they were B2C business, and then after beta they changed their model to B2B. They raise money, and now they are growing their platform very quickly. So that's a good story. In our holiday party, we beta founders from 2018 showed up, and they told us that they sold their company. And so so that's amazing when I see beta founders exit their companies successfully. And so we have lots of stories like that, and people comes in and then they go through, they meet new people, they question their business models, and then they make iterations to them, and then they end up different places and succeed. We have so many stories with that, but I have these 2 right now. So
yeah. Awesome. And there's also a beta demo day type thing coming up soonish, right?
Yeah, it's February 22nd. It's
Okay.
mainly our graduation. We just changed the name to Demo Day. So it's our, fall 22 cohort is graduating. But when they are graduating, they also, pitch their companies. And so, we love these events. Like, we get 50 to 100 people, and, very close group of people. We, enjoy each other. We pitch, and then we look at 6 months late before and now how much they make difference, and it's humongous, especially with the pitches.
Awesome. And I'm glad you brought up Kinetic. I can't resist that plug. So Launch Minnesota is working with Kinetic to create the Minnesota Exchange. And actually it's been up and running for about 1.5 years now. And we have more than 400 members that everybody is matched for weekly one-on-one conversations, and people have found so much value in these connections. They found mentorship, just fellow camaraderie with fellow founders. Some people have even been connected to investors. So look into the Minnesota Exchange. I'll drop a link in the chat right there. Yes, one of the many awesome companies that you should look into after this. But we have, of course, as you've heard now, an amazing, very talented, very knowledgeable panel. So what questions does the audience have? Do you have about their programs in general or accelerators?
So there's a lot of very, very productive talk. This is John Aho with Numeric about how to identify accelerators that are good fits. What about the opposite? There's a growing trend I've noticed of accelerators who are not providing necessarily value add for these individual businesses. How do you spot one that's not a good fit or is not providing value for what they're asking?
Great question.
I can answer that. I would say do your due diligence on the accelerator. Look at companies that have gone through recent cohorts or recent programs, and see if you can connect with them and ask them how it went and if it moved the needle for them. Just like you do due diligence on investors, do the same thing for accelerators, because you don't want to waste your time or you don't want to waste the equity if they take equity. So I would say have as many conversations as you can with people that have experienced it as much as possible.
Yeah, I agree with Sarah. Indeed, like, on Wednesday, we were talking about this because one of our founders, brought the question that he gets lots of inquiries from accelerators. Now, there are so many accelerators out there. And there are also some accelerators, there are some middlemen. Like I always caution people, like, when you are talking, you need to figure out who you are talking with. Are they directly from the accelerator, or there's some middleman is trying to become this very dubious interactions. And then one other thing is, Sarah said, do your due diligence. And some accelerator programs may ask you to do lots of things. They can, offer you lots of things, but just like 2 days before you accept it, they come back and say, now you need to pay us $6,000, $10,000. And so it's not even equity, like they also hefty fees. So be very careful about those, like very early on, ask very tough questions, like, what type of companies do you work with? Are there any companies that I can reach out? And, because you can reach out some other founders and then do your research and, on the internet, but we be very careful because there are so many out there now, and some of them are there for technically making money. And so be careful, don't become a victim. So.
Good
Yeah,
advice.
I agree. Yeah, definitely just reach out to the alum that have gone through the program if you can.
And then sorry, John, does that clarify things for you at all? Any more questions?
No, that's completely right. And
Okay.
I think that, yeah, the talking to people and doing the due diligence makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, trying to sort out at face value though, and not, because to your point, there's hundreds of these accelerators out there now. To do due diligence on all of them is an unnecessary waste of time, in my personal opinion. So trying to figure out at face value, is there a more expeditious way than going through and inquiring to all of their alumni? Or I guess I'm asking, is there a way to figure out if they're on the naughty list or not?
Yeah, I don't know. There's an accelerator naughty list, but I don't know. Like, do some research, and if you see something on the internet, like I said, it's sometimes tough to do it, but there are some accelerators that we hear several founders, but I don't think you can. If you can find something on the internet, it's obviously not good because it's out already there. But also, if some founders come and ask you like, oh, do you know this accelerator? This happened to me and stuff, like, be careful about those. So.
There's like plans like to make a platform through Forge North and Launch Minnesota, if I'm correct. I did kind of connected, where they're in beta right now, and they're gonna launch a platform where you can kind of more easily aggregate the data of programs. So if you are a tech company and you are at this stage, it will pop up with these are the programs that are in your realm. So it'll kind of dwindle down, like the programs that are like for where you are. So once that drops, that might be a good resource to go there first and kind of, take the 200 programs down to 10 or 20, and then you can kind of weed through those and see which ones. But I think it should be coming out in the next few weeks or a month or two, hopefully.
No, yeah, I'll just jump in there.
Yeah.
Obviously we don't think a software platform is going to replace
Yeah.
what entrepreneurs and startups need. So you can contact Launch Minnesota. Forge North is our partner in the Twin Cities area, and Ben and Morris are great resources, but feel free to reach out to us. Part of that is ecosystem mapping. We received a federal grant, and so we're going to try to see where the gaps are, where our strength is based on sector and stage, based on geography, so we can better start working to address those gaps. But really, as you saw today, this is a very connected and coordinated ecosystem where people are working together, and they have the startups, and the founder first mentality. So please, Launch Minnesota can be that call, and then we can connect you with Lunar or Beta, Techstars, all of them that are relevant to you for then you to take that next step. So that's the role for Maddie and I is we aren't the experts, and we don't have accelerator programs ourselves, but we know who does, and have the fortunate opportunity to work with all of them. Maddie, there are also, I'm sure you saw some other questions in the chat.
Yeah, lots of good questions in the chat. What are some of the things you see founding teams struggle with in accelerators?
We see, kind of going back to making sure that you look in, use the legal services, go on the resources page. Like, a lot of founders feel like they're not ready, or they, they don't feel like they're at a place to go to the lawyer yet, because they don't know, or they don't think that they're at that stage. But really, you should just go and kind of figure out where you should go from there. So I think with a lot of our founders, it's just, if you made it into the program, then you're ready to do and use all the resources that we provide.
Got it. And then let's see. Let's talk about the benefits of local Minnesota accelerators versus national accelerators. What are the differences there?
I can say for us specifically, and John, to answer part of your question earlier, when you're saying how do we kind of, weed out all of the accelerators, is think about the ecosystem that you want to be a part of, or that you want to try and build a network out of. So think about where you want to be, but then also think about what particular space your business or your product falls under. And if there's a good ecosystem built there, or there's an accelerator that's heavily focused on that, then I would search those and think about those accelerators. But for us, in terms of local versus worldwide, Techstars has, 2 programs here, one focused on farm to fork, so farm to table, looking at everything that could be on the farm all the way to the table and everything in between. So it's pretty broad, it's pretty vague. But this here, I would argue, is one of the largest food tech capitals of the world, if not the food tech capital of the world, based on the Fortune 500 companies that we have here, who have their headquarters here, based on the farming and the food and sustainability CPG focus that we also have here in the Twin Cities. But then we also have the sports tech program in partnership with the Minnesota Twins. So that's sports tech, live entertainment, and media. And so if you have a company that falls underneath either one of those worlds or those verticals, it might be a great place to set up shop here locally, But also, as I was talking about in the food tech, we have more Fortune 500s and have a great number of corporate headquarters here in the Twin Cities, that building your network here in the Twin Cities is fantastic. And it's a great place to do it, where there is a lot of money and there's a lot of interest to grow the business and to grow the ecosystem. But worldwide, we also have great partners. We also have great programs. So I think you really just need to figure out where it is that you want to build out your business and where you want to utilize the resources that each individual areas currently have.
So I want to talk about a little bit local, like Sarah mentioned, because we have lots of beta companies go to Techstars. Because the thing is that, you know, when you're part of an accelerator, it shouldn't be done there. So you can go to next level, and so it doesn't need to be like one accelerator and you'll be done. And one other thing about local is, like, as a local accelerator, as beta, we have lots of deep connections locally. And also, like, as the entrepreneur in residence, I also show very much interest to economic development centers. Like, I'm building this, we are building this connection with the Shakopee Economic Development, and they are doing amazing work. Like yesterday, I sit down with a founder and, struggling last several years, and to help him. And so it's not only like, we are like only accelerators program that you are in the program. We love to, like, even you are not in the accelerator, when you are not even thinking about it, we like to support you, because as beta, like, to me is like, every entrepreneur in Minnesota is kind of, our tribe, and we try to elevate you. But again, like I said, there are lots of founders come from beta and then they went to Techstars because it's an amazing program. And that's what we say, our founders, like, your job is constantly finding new resources. And, if you do beta, go to Techstars and raise more money and do whatever possible for you to accelerate your own company's growth. So.
Great. And then someone asked, we were talking about NVP or MVP. What is that? That's a minimum viable product. If you have questions about like what exactly minimum viable product means for certain programs, feel free to toss a follow-up question. What else are people wondering?
A question just came in if there's any program fees for startups to participate in your accelerator programs.
Oh, beta is a free program, so we don't get any equity, we don't charge you any fees. And, we just accept you, and, because we are a not-for-profit organization, so we don't like, when you go through our program, technically, you don't need to pay anything, and, and we don't get anything, so you don't have any dilution. And so.
At Lunar, it's free to apply. We do charge $100 per month. So our 6-month program, $100 per month. We're a nonprofit, so we don't, it's more just, studies show if you have more skin in the game, you're more likely to put more in and show up and participate. We try, it's not guaranteed, but we do try to fundraise to get you that money back for graduation, if at least that, if more, depending. And we don't take equity.
We do take equity. We take 6% common stock equity in exchange for the program, access to the network, and the access to our partners. We provide a $20,000 living stipend because we ask all of the founders to be here during the length of the program. And then there's also an optional convertible note. I would say probably about 80 to 90% of the founders actually take the convertible debt note, but it's completely optional.
Got it. Someone else is wondering, clarify the value added by accelerators. So this is one of our grantees. They participated in a couple boot camps in the NSF National I-Corps program. So what is the value added by participating in an accelerator versus a different, some startup assistance program?
Well, at Lunar, so it's $100 a month, but I mean, you're getting like $75,000 worth of resources, whether that's legal, the time that our experts donate to meet with you during our program. I think that adds a lot of value, and then kind of building the community aspect too. Like, I feel like that's kind of like our main value add for sure.
Yeah, the community is always a really big thing for startups. It can be a lonely journey, and it's always easier when you start connecting with people.
And it's also relationships, like, like I said, like as beta, like, when you're a beta founder, you're a beta founder. And then if you need anything, we are always there. And I see this so many times, like how beta founders come and support each other and, the connections and stuff. So this is definitely, it's not a startup, like I said, as a founder, you need to reach out every resource you can take. But the thing is, if you're an accelerator, if you are part of a community, it really elevates you. So I always urge founders to, find communities and that they can connect to, and then they can utilize, so, they can be elevated to the next level.
Great. Oh, sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
I don't really have much more to offer than what was already said.
Okay, cool. Poya wants to know any advice for a business that's less than a year old. I suppose it kind of depends on what you're working on and the stage of the business, but any tidbits to offer, panelists? Or how do you find communities? Yeah. Advice for a business that's less than a year old, and how do you go about finding a community?
I would say do as much customer discovery as you possibly can to figure out what people really want. And think about how you can get your product to market as quickly as you can. It doesn't have to be beautiful. You just have to get it out there to see if there's a demand for it and people are interested in what it is that you have.
And to Sarah's point, I put a link into some of the educational programming that's available across the state. That's free for startups. That really is a great first step for you before, it was another question that was posted about what to do before an accelerator program. But to Sarah's point, it's the value proposition courses that really help you do that customer discovery.
And especially when you are, when you start a company, just go towards that minimal viable product. Minimum viable product is not technically a product. What it is you give something to an end user and you get feedback about what problem you are solving, and is there a demand here. Like when you show it, people says, oh, I really, like this is really a problem, like I wish you can, have it right now. So that, in your first year, go diligently, try to build something, learn from your, target market or the problem. Like I said, I'm obsessed about problems, and go work on your problem, go, do your homework. And so build something, use your own money, or, raise small money from family, friends. But the thing is, take some risk, but do not stuck in the idea stage, because if you stuck in the idea stage for a long time, and if you come to an accelerator program, most probably will say, you need to go back and do something before you come to accelerate yourself.
Great. Let's see. How much help do you offer to connect to investors? Your particular programs?
We connect our companies with lots of investors, but that's only if we think they're ready to be introduced to the investors. We're not going to introduce anybody to the network of investors well before they're ready, because it doesn't do their companies any good to get introduced to somebody well before they should be having those conversations. So we will open up the network as soon as we feel as though you're ready. And that's, it varies by company, truthfully.
Well, same here, we have a beta bakers program. Like I said, beta founders, we are very connected, to especially local, angel investor networks and local venture capital firms, and and also corporations. And so but again, like Sarah said, when we feel like you are right for the introduction, we definitely do those introductions. And
Neil also put our list of investors in the chat. That's a list of investors based in Minnesota or investors that invest in Minnesota companies. It includes often contact information for their funds and details about what kind of startups they're looking to invest in. And then Dane wants to know, what are some ways you've seen an entrepreneur with a great idea and a business plan fail to bring their product to market? Anything to offer there?
The thing is that, when, especially for founders, what I see is, and, how quickly they can go towards an MVP, because I see so many founders stuck on the, perfection mode. And so, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to add more stuff. And so the longer you stay in that mode, that the longer you don't touch, a customer feedback, it gets harder and harder. And then you stay in this period long time after spending so much effort and time and, maybe your own money, you may end up nowhere, or you may build some solution that actually doesn't solve a problem. So that's the reason, create a, short milestone with an MVP, and then don't get nervous about oh, they won't like it because it looks ugly. It doesn't matter. If you're solving a problem, if an end user sees it, now you have something, you can go from there and you can start building, and you can attract early stage investors too. So.
Cool. Hey, thanks, Ihan. That's funny because as soon as we put our own money into it, we stopped being perfectionists.
Yeah. I think too, also being ready to take constructive criticism, there might be a section of your business that needs to change. And if some founders don't like hearing that, so that can really set them back as well.
All right. Well, believe it or not, we only have 1 minute left, and I want to be respectful of our panelists' time. So I'm gonna thank you everyone so much for coming this morning. I hope that this was enlightening. It seems like we could carry on this discussion for another hour. And so, yes, thank you so much to everyone for participating. We really appreciate our panelists for sharing their knowledge. I'm going to drop my email in the chat. And if anyone has any more questions, feel free to reach out to me. I will do my best to answer them or connect you with people who can answer them. Again, we do these Friday forums on the 4th Friday of every month. Next month, we'll be discussing the Minnesota Cup. So if you're interested in looking into that this year, feel free to come to that again. But thank you everyone so much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just quickly for those startups on the line, the MinVet Venture event that we host with the University of Minnesota, SBIR, STTR, and Medical Alley, the deadline is approaching. I'll put that link in the chat, but it's open to all entrepreneurs, all sectors, and all geographies. So we'd love to see some applications or those accelerator programs to forward that to your participants.
Yeah, we have more info on that. So feel free to reach out to me or Neela, and we will be able to answer any questions you have about MinVentures or upcoming programs.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Maddie. Thanks, Neela.
You guys.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
bye.
Thanks for participating.